So most teachers say they use CLT, but they are often not all talking about the same thing. Inside communicative language teaching, there has always been this really important distinction. This is the difference between weak CLT and strong CLT. The simplest way to understand this comes from a scholar called Howatt. And Howatt said that weak CLT is about learning to use the language, while strong CLT is about using language to learn it. Now, that sounds like a small difference, but it completely changes how you teach. So, in weak CLT, the structure of teaching still looks quite familiar. There is usually a syllabus, some sequencing of grammar or functions, and a lesson shape that many teachers recognize. What changes is that learners are given opportunities to communicate. So instead of only doing controlled practices, they might do role plays or information gaps or possibly pair work where they use language in a more meaningful way. In other words, the language is still taught first and then learners use it. That is why weak CLT became the mainstream version because it fit really easily with existing systems. Strong CLT takes a much more radical position. And if I'm going to try and teach it to a trainee, I'll always try and teach this version because it really helps the trainee understand what it's supposed to be about. Here, communication is not something that happens after learning. It is the mechanism of learning itself. Learners do not fully master the language and then use it. They develop it through trying to communicate. So instead of pre-teaching everything, the focus is on creating situations where language can emerge through use. This puts much more emphasis on fluency, on interaction, and meaning-focused communication, and much less emphasis on teaching language item by item in advance. This distinction matters because it shows that CLT was never one single method. It came and evolved from different directions. And some versions kept traditional structures because that's what mattered in their context, or that was what was implementable in that context, and then added communication to that. Others argued that communication itself should drive acquisition. It also helps explain where task-based language teaching comes from. And if you're trying to understand TBLT, trying to understand strong CLT can really help you. So TBLT develops this stronger version of CLT by organizing teaching around tasks rather than pre-selected grammar. So when someone says they use CLT, the real question, I guess, is, are learners first taught the language and then asked to use it? Or are they using the language in order to learn it? That is the difference between weak and strong CLT. And that difference shapes everything from lesson design to how you understand language learning itself. So to really get a handle on the difference between these, or strong, genuine CLT, there may be some changes in beliefs that you have to make. If you are training to teach, this distinction will directly affect how you plan your lessons. And if you are already teaching, it's worth asking yourself, which version am I really using? Thanks for watching this video. Please do like and please do subscribe because that would help us so much. And we'll see you in the next episode.